First up, Neurons or the Ivanti Patch for Endpoint Manager. So just a quick kind of overview of what came last quarter, in case you maybe haven't upgraded to the latest or missed the last preview. The 2025.2 release focused on a couple of specific user experiences that we wanted to enhance. One was minimizing non-essential reboots, not explicitly required by the vendor. So this is a few growing pains on the EPM side. There were a couple of use cases where the way that a vendor was flagging that a reboot may be required had changed over time. So this was going in and cleaning up a few of those approaches to make sure that we were keeping reboots to a minimized level of effort. So the 2025.2 release and forward included that support. The other was adding support for Office LTSC 2024 into EPM patch download. Because so the way that Office updates typically work is if you're using the Office 365 or Office Online, it's taking the latest from you're basically signed on for the latest stream for that branch. There are ways to maintain that yourself, and this is adding that support in. So adding that Office LTSC download experience in for that version is now added in that version. And then keeping up with OS additions coming out, we added support for Windows 11 24H2, Windows Server 2025 agent only, and then meaning that we don't do the agentless in that case. And then Mac OS 15 Sequoia were the three new OS additions that were added in 2025.2. Getting into 2025.3, ARM support. For those of you who are familiar with the ARM hardware updates that are coming out, these are entering into the market. It's a lighter weight, battery performant type of architecture, similar to when Apple switched over to the silicon-based chips. So this is a new type of hardware device coming out, and also is a new mode of operating for technologies like ours, where we have to put an agent onto the system and support things in a certain way. So we are adding support in for ARM technology. This is going to help our customers who are already kind of on that bleeding edge and looking to start piloting those ARM devices. A few of those people being some of the vendors who will be selling them to you, but also a couple of our customers who are early adopters of ARM devices within their organizations. So we expect this is going to be a slow rollout to begin, but over time, we're expecting to see more and more ARM devices come into all of your environments, probably starting with executive level and certain, highly mobile users who are looking for that higher battery performance, longer life type device and less overall power being needed for like an engineering level kind of setup. So those ARM devices are coming out into the market. We're going to have support for Windows 11 24H2 running on ARM and going forward. So that is adding in the patch support for that in this release. Next, we have the ability to filter the Microsoft preview updates. So I'm actually going to show you this in just a second here, but basically this gives you the ability to ignore those preview filters. So what these are, if you're not necessarily familiar with it, is Microsoft does 2 OS updates each month. There's the Patch Tuesday update, which all of us are more than intimately familiar with. That's the security update each month. And then towards the end of the month, there is a preview. That preview is basically adding in all of those user features, feature changes, things like that, that are going to be included in the next month's security update release, because everything's cumulative. But this gives you that ability to basically preview those and make sure it doesn't break anything within your environment. So think of this as a pilot build or a pilot branch release for customers who want to make sure that they're prepared for Patch Tuesday. Typically, you would want to do this in only a smaller portion of your environment, maybe similar to like a rollout. You would do the preview update and then the Patch Tuesday update, but that preview only to a smaller number of systems. So here I actually have a demonstration of this that I'm going to walk you through real quick. So here in the EPM console, we're going to watch kind of stepping through this configuration here to see each of those pieces being added. So on the core, I can go in and look for the preview packs. And right now you can see that that is blank. In the new core, we go and look for the same, and we get the list of preview packs. So we've added the ability to filter for and identify these preview packs so you can be able to interact with them at a deeper level. And now we have the ability to go in and configure different parts of the product, like rollout projects, to be able to specifically filter in or out, making sure that we can control who and where those preview packs are allowed to be deployed to. So this can be used inclusively or exclusively, but you can see here in each different part of the platform that preview pack is now an entity in there that you can see as a first class entity, and you can manipulate that to make sure that you can control the rollout of those preview packs within your environment. So this is going through and updating those definitions. So if you don't want the preview packs, you also don't need to download those. So this works in a number of different ways to, if you're going to exclude those altogether, you can control that to the point where it won't even download those preview updates. This is just going to step through in a rollout project, showing you where and how these preview packs come into play. I can see the published severity. In this case, it's showing that it is a preview pack. So there's additional supporting metadata that's now exposed there in a way where it makes it easier to clearly identify these, because Microsoft, you have to dig in a little ways to get down to the level where you understand where those are in there. So with this, we now have the preview pack support in security controls, EPM, and in the Neurons patch experience to allow our customers to better control those preview updates. All right, I think it's just about done here. Yep, so this is showing adding that into a patch campaign. They're targeting their devices, putting in their criteria. And in this case, you can see that it is going to go and look for any of those preview packs that had released within the last 75 days, if there was one. So you can see all the different possible patches that fit that criteria, and then it would really only need to deploy the latest of those. So in this case, the April and May updates would be the latest for each of those, depending on which edition they were on. Switching gears, Todd, if you want to jump in on security controls.
Talking about the last release of security controls, we did have a number of releases back in April, updates there. We are continuing with the contentless patching. This is a big shift in our Linux approach to business. We were able to add in the Amazon Linux version, versions 2 and 2023. We're also continuing to update the REST APIs that exist in the security controls product to be in sync with what we have capability-wise on the Windows side. So we've been slowly rolling through that, and we added a phase 1 and the first part of phase 2 here in this last release. Chris already talked about preview patches. We now have the ability to differentiate between preview patches and security controls as well. So definitely continuing with across our product line with kind of common features that we can roll into the product. Next slide, Chris. And these are going into more detail as to what's coming up now in the 2025.3 release, right around the corner here in July. We're going to be completing the last phase of the REST API updates for contentless Linux. There were a number of updates around scan results regarding specific advisory data, as well as the results for specific package data. So those are now in there as ability under the API side. And finally, deployment results, both summary and detailed data as well. So those will be supported through the APIs, just like the Windows versions that we have today. Talking about Linux parity, we still do have some content-based Linux patching in the product. We are, with following this release, going to provide an end-of-life announcement on the current versions of the content-driven approach that we have. It will be available until July of next year, so there is a 1-year, roll down period, if you want to think of it that way. But I hope everybody's been moving over to the contentless Linux version, because we do have so much more functionality in there in terms of the ability to support all the updates that are available through the package manager, and not just a limited amount of content that we have available from that we can provide for the products themselves. So as I said, there's a number of feature parity items that we've done. We've cleaned up some workflows in terms of right-clicking and adding things and dragging and dropping the abilities to add advisories and notifications. So going through, you can see the list of features that we've included in this upcoming release. And really excited about this, finally getting to the point where we have the same functionality with our contentless Linux as we have with our content-driven. But then again, as I mentioned, there's so much more in terms of what you can do as far as patching goes with the contentless version. So definitely, please move forward as quickly as you can to the new versions of Linux as we add those. Again, the ability to provide those, that hardware architecture running on ARM, such that you can patch either ARM native applications, of which there are more and more coming out. We can patch the operating system as well on ARM. And there's a lot of third-party applications that will continue to run on top of ARM in emulation mode, essentially, and we'll be able to provide and patch those as well. So really excited about adding in this functionality to the product. That's about it, Chris. That was the last one, actually.
Yeah, and for those of you who are using the Patch for Config Manager and Patch for Intune products, the ability to publish content, ARM content is also coming, but that's more of a content update versus a product-specific update. So you'll see the ability to start publishing that ARM content shortly as well. All right, so switching over to Ivanti Neurons for patch management. The previous release, we released our the ring deployment experience in our Q1 release. We've been adding in some capabilities around deploying our user sentiment survey that's about to release to the market here, along with scopes, which is also, we're planning to start rolling that out this week. And then we had launched Amazon Linux support. So again, that continuing to add additional Linux capabilities in there. It's the contentless version of our Linux technology, supporting Linux 2023 and Amazon Linux 2. And then we had several additional reporting enhancements in there. Getting into the 2025.3 release, the user, first of all, going into a couple of the ones that are about to release here, user surveys. Ring deployment kind of divide into two different types of issues that can occur. There's issues that are a direct failure of a patch, and then there's issues when the patch succeeds, but it affects something else on that system downstream. The first is easy to resolve, and any vendor that has a ring style deployment capability in market has that ability to look and say, oh yeah, there's this patch, it failed on 50% of my machines. There's definitely something wrong with that. Let's pull that patch and figure out what's going on before we continue rolling out. But what happens when the patch succeeds? You can't really see that from a patch level. The patch successfully installed. The user has to go through and figure out where the experience is working, where it's going wrong, and give us some additional feedback. So many of you, you're handling this in a couple of different ways. You're handling it via email, having conversations with those users after the deployment occurs. You might have some of your pilot users, as soon as it's done, you shoot them an email saying, hey, check everything out. Let us know if anything went wrong. Some of you are using our DEX solution to monitor if cases start to spike or issues start to occur right after those deployment periods. I've talked with a couple of our DEX customers over the years who are also using our patch products, and some that weren't. They were using our DEX product with another patching solution like Microsoft, but using that as that barometer to say, how is the user experience going after the deployment occurs? But we wanted to take that and make it more of a first-class part of the Neurons for Patch Management ring deployment experience. So with this release, and the mockups are in here right now, the version that's going live in product will look a little bit slightly different than this, but in general, you're going to have the ability to go in and set the number of users that you want to be able to survey, and with each ring be able to set criteria on that. So if I've got a patch that does very poorly, maybe it failed for 75% of systems in that group, that is going to be something where you can have a threshold saying, oh, each patch has to meet a certain percentage of success before it can move on to the next stage. When you're looking at the user-based metrics, it gets a little bit more nebulous, but we'll have the ability to provide them a sentiment survey. There's going to be a default configuration for that, but you'll be able to customize it and even create your own survey templates within the platform to be able to deliver that type of experience in there as well. You'll be able to select your survey template, and with that, set your criteria. But then as soon as I patch my early adopters or my pilot group, I can trigger that sentiment survey to go to them immediately after to basically have them go through and try the things that they would normally be doing and give me an update to say, how did that deployment run? If there are issues going on, there is the ability in that sentiment survey to be able to go directly into gathering of logs and opening a ticket or getting assistance with that as well. So those of you familiar with the Ivanti Neurons bots experience, this is going to be just bringing that into the patch experience as a first-class entity. So we're very excited to do this. It's going to be very differentiating in the market, things that many of our customers are doing independent of the product today, and making that so they can do that as part of the overall experience and bring this together to be able to handle both patch-specific issues and downstream issues caused by a patch somewhere else in the experience. Scopes. Those of you who are using scopes today, you're very familiar with this, but we're now bringing scopes into the patch experience within the Neurons platform. So the Ivanti Neurons platform is an ecosystem. There's platform capabilities. As those are brought on there, they may launch in one module first and over time go into additional modules, similar like the reporting. Patch was the first module that the reporting was built around, and now you're going to start to see more and more reporting launch for other parts of the product going forward. But the scopes launched in the devices side first. Here, we're bringing that into the patch experience now. So if we're set up for patch within our environment, and I've been given the scope for the Minnesota based systems, and Todd is given the scope for the Texas based systems, we can both go in, we can both see the Neurons tenant, we both have RBAC rights to do certain things within there, but my admin gave me rights to only see those Minnesota based machines so that I can only operate against the machines that I'm supposed to be able to do. And similarly, Todd's been given the Texas machines. So scopes, when you're ready to, you could turn on scopes and configure that, and each of the patch admins then will be restricted by the scopes they've been assigned to. If you've already assigned scopes to these users for the devices side, as you see this turn on within each landscape, it will automatically start applying. So if scopes are already configured for your environment and suddenly you're only seeing the machines you should be seeing, that's because scopes are now turned on for your tenant and it's working as expected. Next is around patch rollback. This is going to be the first rollout of this feature, but this will give you the ability to roll back specific patches for a specific machine. We're going to be expanding on this over time as well. Rollback is one of those, think of it as your insurance policy. If something does go wrong, we've got a number of things in there to try to reduce the number of machines that it will impact, like ring deployment. But I'm going to need to go in and probably roll something back on a specific machine. So give me that ability to roll back the patch. And then after that, I'm probably going to have to go in and figure out what else needs to be cleaned up before that machine gets back into a good state. So today we have the ability to, with this release, we'll have the ability to do rollback for an individual machine. And then from there, many of our customers are using the Neurons bot to be able to do the rollback and the additional cleanup steps to get that machine back into a good state. In the future here, we're going to be adding the ability to do rollback at larger scale. There's a number of complicated scenarios to have to reconcile to be able to do this in an entire policy group. Because if I roll back a patch against all those machines, the next time that policy runs, it's just going to reapply that patch unless you've done the actions to make an exception and do all these other things. So there's additional experiences we need to put in there. The first building block, the most important one though, is the ability to do the rollback. Now we're going to be starting to build out those additional experiences around that. So this is, again, the first step towards getting a broader and broader rollback experience within the product. Maintenance windows, another big one for many of you on the on-prem side, getting ready to migrate to the cloud. Many of you need maintenance windows to be able to control the window in which certain machines can do certain actions. So that is about to launch. This is going to enable the ability for that system to basically choose to use a maintenance window instead of a specific scheduled time. So if I've got a group of systems that are, I want to have deploy at a specific window on Friday. I don't have to go in and configure that, all of those details specifically in the policy. I can just say, use the maintenance window that I've already configured with this. And that same maintenance window may allow things like app distribution to run only in certain times, or other parts of the platform to only make changes in certain time windows. So it gives you an easier ability to maintain those windows of change throughout your environment. So that is about to launch here, and with something like ring deployment, where you may need to mix and match, each of the rings will be able to be configured for a specific time or a maintenance window for that particular ring. So it'll give you some flexibility to use a combination of the two together. And we'll be looking for feedback on how to improve on that experience going forward as well, to give customers the flexibility to use both. Audit of user actions. So we launched the first round of audit capabilities platform wide, and patch reporting was the first part of the patch experience that was populating in there. And there were some audit capabilities going in from other parts of the platform as well. We're continuing to push more and more notifications over to that audit experience, rather than having them be specifically in the patch experience. So you're going to see more and more of those types of actions going over into the audit experience at a platform level. And from there, being able to export that information and share it with other things becomes easier, because now you've got broader platform wide visibility, not just specific module by module. So the ability to know who created a configuration, edited a configuration, archived or restored a configuration, deleted a configuration, did they add something to a patch group, rename something, all of those are going to be different levels of user actions that will be auditable. We'll be continuing to expand that over time. And going forward, more and more will be visible across the entire platform in that user audit experience. Of course, ARM support, we've already talked about that in both security controls and EPM, but in Neurons patch will also be supporting ARM, so we don't have to beat that up anymore, but ARM support is coming in this release. Shifting gears into the RBVM side. Just a recap of the previous release. We did some changes to the list view update that gave you the ability to edit and delete notes on assets and findings. So once you've put it in there, it may be good for right now, but what happens if I want to remove it altogether? So giving that ability to edit and clean those up going forward. We added some new notifications for work state changes. If you have a workflow that changes, somebody changed or made a modification to that, you want to be able to see those state changes and get notified of that. And then we also added a notification when automated ticketing it becomes disabled. So if auto ticketing was turned on for a specific workflow, and somebody goes in and turns that off, we wanted to be able to provide a notification to make sure people are aware that that was turned off, so they can go in and take action if something accidentally got turned off or got turned off without informing somebody else where it may have been essential. We updated the GitHub Advanced Security Dependabot integration. We added some new KPIs for replacing end-of-life widgets into the dashboards and widgets part of the experience. And then we added some abilities to delete custom attributes, added support for CVSS v4. Not so much in the industry has gone over to v4 yet, but the support is there in RBVM and in our patch products already. We've got previous severity and VRR scores. So if you're not familiar with that, you may have had a score. It could have changed over time. You would be able to go back and see what that previous score was to a certain degree. And then we updated some enhancements for our ITSM auto ticketing experience in there. Within the next release here, we are adding some additional features around custom severity, environmental factors. So if you're using custom severity, you can start to put more environmental specific detail in there. CVSS v4 score inclusion for CVEs, so expanding on that CVSS v4 support. Integration-wise, we're continuing to do some additional enhancements for GitHub Advanced Security. Secret scanning and code scanning is being added in. Some additional enhancements to the ITSM auto ticketing. Added in the support for custom fields for Veracode, the Veracode connector. ADO auto ticketing, and then resurfacing date for tenable findings. So if a finding comes back up later on, it's bringing in that resurface date as well. In the dashboards, the ability to pin a custom dashboard to make it so that you can retain that view and make it a when somebody else comes into the experience that they get that first. And then notifications, we added automated ticketing disabled notifications in additional ones into the platform. On the ITSM auto ticketing, this was enabling organizations to quickly identify and orchestrate required actions before they can be exploited by attackers, and eliminating more oversight for IT and security teams. Basically, as findings come in, you can create tickets automatically from the RBVM platform or ASPM module into the ITSM product. So incident, problem, and change, being able to auto-create those tickets from the RBVM experience. The ITSM connector includes a collection-based auto ticketing configuration setup. So that setup wizard lets you go in and be able to set up Ivanti Neurons for ITSM as your ticketing integration, and then enables you to then start to include that in your incident, problem, and change auto ticket workflows. On the Azure DevOps side, the ability to create tickets automatically from the RBVM platform directly into Azure DevOps. So for those development teams who are using ADO as their backend, this just adds that auto ticketing capability there. So I can use that connector then to configure my ADO instance and be able to start to use that in the workflows where I want to automatically open a finding in that team's backlog based on findings coming in from code scanners like Black Duck or Prisma and so on. GitHub Advanced Security. This is utilizing the GitHub Advanced Security API to retrieve code and secret scanning alerts. So expanding our coverage in the GitHub connector to be able to include additional finding types. Providing new scanner specific fields for exports and application data that are available in GitHub Advanced Security as well. Additional feature improvements, again, with the CVSS v4 support, this is adding in the ability to provide CVSS v4 score in the vulnerabilities detail page, vulnerability exports, host and application findings, providing new scanner-specific fields for the GitHub Advanced Security, and providing the new notification types for finding collections that stop ticketing automation. So if I go in and disable that within a specific configuration, I'll be notified if somebody makes that type of a change. Switching gears over to our EASM release. In April, we had updated a new page in there, our technologies page. This went into more of a technology stack view of your external attack surface. So showing which technologies are exposed out there. Got into a little bit more detail of what's exposed there beyond just findings. It's letting me see what technologies are exposed there, so I have a broader understanding of what is on my perimeter. So this includes versions, libraries, third-party software titles, hosting technologies, things like that are all included in that technologies page. And then improving attack surface visibility, we added some new dashboard widgets for exploit distribution and exposures by risk vector, enabled user notifications for user-triggered workflows and asset discovery, enabled and some additional audit trail capabilities in the experience, and setup of proactive monitoring for EASM services. In 2025.3, we're adding a couple of different areas on the onboarding and usability side and unified reporting. So there's a new widget for EASM onboarding that helps you to kind of gives you that guided what's the next step in my EASM configuration and journey. So it kind of helps you think of those next steps and continue to configure the product to get it implemented fully in your environment. Improving seed creation workflows by including the workspace creation. So just making it so you can tie that together and make it a little bit more of a seamless experience for creating a new workspace, adding the scene, and reducing the number of steps to do that. And then notifications for exposures to ransomware or data leaks. More visibility into notifications for those types of findings as they come in. Integration of EASM detailed summary reports to common reports section. So this is we're adding the EASM reports into the common platform reporting experience rather than having it be separate. So EASM and Patch were both looking to create reporting experiences at roughly the same time. EASM was a little bit further ahead on adding in their reports in there. So they did it in a standalone fashion, and now we're going to be working to bring that experience and merge it in together to become part of one experience. We also added in the ability to enable email scheduled reporting features. So these are some of the platform benefits of that common experience as the platform provides new capabilities like being able to do an emailed report or scheduling a reoccurring EASM report. They'll be able to take advantage of more of these types of reoccurring benefits going forward as well. On the onboarding side, again, very simple here. We had the, as you're creating a new workspace, you can create the seeds that you want to add in there now directly in that workflow instead of creating a workspace, then going to that workspace and then creating the seeds. So it just makes for a more seamless single step as you expand to create a new workspace. So if you've got maybe a third-party vendor you're evaluating or an acquisition that your organization is about to do, and you want to create a workspace for that project and be able to go directly into adding those seeds that you want to add, all of that can be done in the single kind of workflow then. Next, we had the EASM integration into unified reporting. So this is, again, just bringing this into the unified experience. So you could see Patch and EASM side by side here. If you've got multiple modules who are using the reporting module on the Neurons platform, you'd be able to see each of those that you have permissions for side by side here and flip between them. So it just makes it so that we can take advantage of many of those platform level reporting features so that we can be more cost effective about rolling out new capabilities to the platform and making a unified reporting experience so that if you're using multiple modules, and you've got generalists or super admins within your environment who do need to work across multiple modules, it makes it a lot more seamless for them from an experience perspective, having the reporting all in one place and a uniform type of experience for that.